America's a hustle.
This city is meant to be yours, sweetheart. What are you going to do to get it?
It's just the beginning.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Today, I will be doing episode 2 of The Penguin. The episode is entitled The Inside Man, and I gotta say, it's been crazy. This is a show to me that gets better every single week. This episode, just to give you guys my I'll do my non-spoiler thoughts first, and then I'll kind of go into breaking down the episode. But easily, this episode for me is a 10 out of 10 episode. It was very well paced, very well done, picking up directly after the events of the first episode, where Oz has officially set up into motion a war between the two clans and kind of for the moment gotten Sophia off of his trail, or so we think. There's a lot of different little subterfuge, some different things that are happening. And yeah, everybody's acting is once again really strong. The highlight of this episode for me would have to be uh, Sophia, played by Christina Milioti. Yeah, her acting in this is absolutely phenomenal. This episode also gives us a couple of flashes into her time in Arkham and everything that was going on there, or bits and pieces. Also, there's a neat cameo by Theo Rossi. If you guys don't know who Theo Rossi is, he's Juice from Sons of Anarchy. Makes a brief little appearance in this episode. But yeah, this is just basically a continuation, and a very strong continuation from the last episode. So my non-spoiler thoughts are it's a 10 out of 10. Great episode, good setup by the end. Very nice flow, good pacing. And also the dialogue and the conversations in this episode were very, very strong. I think the thing that's intriguing about this show is the conversations are so well done that a conversation has a lot of intensity to it. And one of my favorite directors is Quentin Tarantino. One thing Quentin Tarantino is very good at is he is great at sort of setting up this dialogue that has an intense kind of a feel to it. So, yeah, it was really good, really good. I can't wait to see the third episode of this. So now, as promised, every week said that I'm going to go through the HBO inside the episode. They're not particularly long, but they do highlight some scenes that I want to talk about. I will also be doing the breakdown to kind of fill in the blanks for some scenes and just giving my overall thoughts of the scene, how it was executed, and things like that. So, hopefully you guys enjoy that, and also too I would like to get your guys' thoughts on this episode, because I'm really curious to see it. I've been hearing a lot of good things from people. A lot of people seem to be uh, enjoying these past few episodes, and like I said, I don't know how this show is gonna continue going as we go along, but from what I've seen, it doesn't seem to be uh, showing signs of slowing down. So, what is going on here? What the hell? Okay, let me try that again. All right, so here we go. We're gonna jump into the spoilers section of this review. So, once again, just a heads up, I will be diving into the spoilers of this episode as soon as they. Geez, this is Here we go. Inside. So, okay. Okay. So,
Never been.
okay. So we're gonna kind of go from the beginning. What the fuck is happening? Why is it? Sorry about that. There is something to do. What is this ad blocker? Legendary blocker.com respond invalid. What? Why is this? What is happening? Okay, let's try this again. Okay. But yeah, so we're gonna try to take this piece by piece, and I'll kind of set it up as we're going while I try to figure out why this thing is bringing up a fucking ad blocker for some reason. So, Oz is his plan is he framed Maroney. After framing him, he gave him the ring at the end of the first episode to create it like Maroney's men were responsible for Sophia's brother's murder. And he really, in this episode, starts to put his plan into motion, playing the Maronis and the Salvadors against each other to kind of start this war in the hopes that by creating a war between the two of them, he can have them kind of take each other out and then come up and pick up the scraps, basically, who's ever left standing. Either, I'm guessing he's going to either partner with them or he's going to try to take it himself and decimate both sides enough so that he can kind of swoop in and take whatever is left. So this deals a lot with that. We start with a flashback from Sophia's time in Arkham, and she flashes to her walking through Arkham and then seeing her brother and the events from last episode, which was Oz basically cutting off his finger and whatnot, and him being in the back of the trunk. So she is having a tough time doing that. And I want to a lot to really humanize Sophia quite a bit. She is quite insane, but they do a good job kind of explaining what has happened to her and why she is the way that she is. So it's a it's a really good look. She's also seeing Theo Rossi's character, who's a psychiatrist. So I think finally, okay, there we go. I don't know why the ad blocker was acting weird. Um, YouTube's sucks with these ad blockers things. So we're going to check out the inside the episode, and I'll kind of pause and explain some
Inside
things that
Man is
we're
when we
talking
start to
about.
unpack Oz playing two sides. He's playing the Maronis and he's playing the Falcones. Sophia walks into a very misogynistic situation. I mean, the mob's never been very friendly to women, and rarely are women inside the room. And so you realize how difficult this is for her. She's coming back home and not feeling welcome. Home is its own form of jail for her.
We get the sense that the story that everyone else tells about Sophia isn't necessarily the right story, but it is the one that has stuck.
So with Sophia, we find out a little bit more of what's going on. So Sophia is called the Hangman, who apparently the Hangman killed 9 women. And there seems to be a plot point in here, which I'm hoping gets elaborated. I don't know if she actually killed the women or what is going on as far as that goes. But they seem to there seems to be maybe another side to the story, which is what you could get from everything. But this has already strained her from the family, and there is strong implications in here. Her being a woman, if you guys know, and you know what, this has been a thing in mob movies, but basically, women only hold such a position as far as the mob goes, and they're not allowed to be in the inside circle. With her brother being dead, who was supposed to be the captain, and her uncle kind of stepping in. Uh, in all fairness, if we're going by family, she should be the next in line. But according to the rules, she cannot be.
At the beginning of 102, Sophia walks in and Oz sees somebody that he can align himself to. He's always playing all these different characters to his.
So in this scene, Oz had gotten attacked. And so what happened is, when he was talking to the Falcones here in prison, Oz goes to Clancy Brown, who basically says, fuck you, you set me up. And Oz basically says to him that he's already started the gears, and if they want to get back the territory that they lost, that his best bet would be to keep on going. So he tells him about the drops warehouse that is being shut down. If you guys remember in the last episode, Oz was told he had to pack up the warehouse. He goes and talks to Salvador, and he plays it like he's going to give him the route. And where shit goes haywire is, he's supposed to give Maroney the route to the trucks, and they're supposed to hit it and take the product back. On the route gets switches, and instead of him being in the lead car, which was supposed to be the plan, he winds up being in the actual truck that's going to be hijacked by Maroney. So this is kind of the setup there.
Advantage and switching, on a dime.
It should be you in there, calling the shots.
Oz is still trying to navigate his way through the aftermath of Alberto's death. As he's doing that, he realized that he can leverage the Maroney family as a tool in order to gain more power.
One ends where he gives Sal his ring back, but he's actually setting Sal up to have to take the fall for Alberto Falcone's death. And meanwhile, he's promising the drops business to the Maronis.
I claim Alberto, you make good on the drops you promised.
Sal's easily manipulated. He knows Oz is up to something.
What is it you're really after, Oz?
Sal looks like he's in control and he knows exactly what he.
So I gotta say, Sorhana, I cannot say her last name. She is super good. She was in a show that I really liked called The Expanse. She plays the president, and in here she is the wife of Clancy Brown, which is a hell of a couple. So in this episode, basically, out of the two of them, she seems to be the one who sees through Penguin's bullshit. But because of the position that they're in, where they feel like they can now take the business over, they're kind of letting things play out to see where they're going to go.
He's doing and trusting us, but Mrs. Maroney knows better.
Oh, yeah. So this is a great line. So she says, this man is a dog, but a dog can be made submissive. So Maroney's wife knows that the Penguin is the kind of guy who is not loyal to anyone. But at the same point, they are thinking very foolishly, and this goes back to kind of the theme of the show we've been seeing throughout, where people are grossly underestimating Oz, and they believe that he can be manipulated to do their will. And so the interesting thing about this show is that Sophia and apparently Nadia Maroney both kind of see through his bullshit, but they are both also under the impression that they can manipulate the Penguin without realizing that he is actually controlling the whole situation. And the thing that I find interesting about this and what makes this show so interesting, especially in this episode, is there's a lot of different maneuvers and manipulations that are going on. This is really, and I said this in my review of episodes 1 through 4, is that right now you're seeing all of the pieces being played and laid down by Penguin, the Maronis, the Salvadors. Like, there you see all of these different families making these moves. And then you have Penguin in the middle of these, manipulating both sides to his own end. The interesting part is, too, and especially in this episode in particular, you can't ever really figure out what Penguin's move is until you get near or towards the end of the episode. And that's where everything that you've seen up to that point in the episode starts to click and make sense. Every little thing that he's doing, whether it's kind of odd or off, it starts to come together and kind of form the outline, and you're like, oh shit, that was the plan the whole time.
Sal fell in love with a woman from Iran, and she learned to love his Italian culture. To me, that felt more unique and made it more specific than other depictions.
Obviously, Sal was so smitten by her. He's obsessed with her. He loves her still. And he's replaced his entire Italian mafia family with the Persian mob, which I just think is so terrifyingly original.
So in this scene, so in this scene, the Penguin had just did the dropped highlight heist, and Nadina, after the heist, a guy named Irvid had been captured because Oz kind of left him behind and thought that he was dead, but he wasn't. This cop who is just introduced, his name is Detective. Oh, they don't say his name. Yeah, he's a retired detective. I forgot his name, but he used to be on uh the payroll of Sophia's father, and so she pays this detective to retrieve anybody who could tell her who set up the heist, because she starts to figure out, due to how the jobs were robbed, that there was a guy on the inside, hence the episode name, The Inside Man. And so she hires a detective to figure it out. The Falcones capture the like, not really the right hand man, but the main soldier of the Maronis, named Irvid. And so in this scene right here, Oz is threatened by Nadina to get their man back. And she makes it very clear to him that if he doesn't get this guy back, he's the one man who could connect Oz to them and will be exposed as the inside man. So Oz comes up with a plan to pin it all on Mark Strong's character, who's been giving him shit since episode 1.
Nowadays, Persians/Iranians are big players in the international arena. Therefore, I think they now can be a part of the mafia life in Gotham City as well. Why not?
The FEMA heist is a plan fully designed by Oz. If everyone did what they were supposed to do, he would have been able to get out having all his enemies killed.
Penguin!
There's a wrench in the plan in that Johnny Vitti decides to put him into the one car he doesn't want to be in.
So this is Johnny Vitti, and as you go on through this episode, Oz's original plan is to frame Johnny Vitti, who's been giving him shit since episode 1, and quite honestly, a prick. Johnny Vitti has been riding his ass. So to kind of clarify what they're saying is that Oz gets a plan. He's going to have the truck robbed. Now, he's supposed to be in the backup truck But Johnny Vitti comes from out of nowhere and says, no, this was your operation. You're going to be in the truck with the drugs, which Penguin did not plan for. So when the heist goes down, everybody in the truck containing the drugs is supposed to be shot and murdered. And then he was going to be in the lead car. And by the time he whipped around and tried to react, it would look like they got hit super quick and he didn't have time to react. But as you can see, John Vitti comes in and fucks up the plan, telling him, hey, you're going to ride with the product to make sure it's safe. So now Oz is in, once again, a very precarious situation.
We're adding artillery to every vehicle. It's your operation means you're on the truck.
He can no longer operate from the sidelines. He has to make a choice: kill all of the Maronis or kill all the Falcones.
So for FEMA Heist, our team developed these flash guns where they look like regular guns, but they have an enormously bright camera flash that could be.
That is actually super awesome. This is why I like watching these inside the episodes, to see how they do all of this stuff. This scene is pretty good, quite violent. So as you can see at this moment, Oz has to make a choice. And so him being in the car, in order for him not to be murdered by the other side, he essentially has to kill his own people and then make it look like they were killed by the bad guys and he narrowly escaped.
Triggered by the actors so that they could.
And great too, because at that moment he says something I forgot, is something that tipped him off. He takes his gun out and they look at him and they're like, "You're the fucking traitor!" And he just fucking blasts them all
Wield
away.
it and feel that flash of light as they pull the trigger. We felt this was a really unique approach to doing gunfire because for safety, it helps us not use real guns on set.
After watching the FEMA heist, it felt that there would be something more playful for Oz, and we found this great Bobby Darin song.
So yeah, as he's going through this heist, right, he's not supposed to be in the truck with the drugs. So they shoot at the front of the truck. They basically shoot, like, come from both sides and wind up hitting the vehicles.
Call Me Irresponsible seemed so perfect for how violent the sequence was.
So right there, he saves the bodyguard of Sophia, which I'll get to the most interesting part of why this is fascinating. Once again, making him look like he barely escaped. As you can see, he's got blood on his face and stuff like that, but the truck crashed, so everybody assumed he nearly escaped with his life and almost died.
Let's go! Go ahead! Let's go!
I think the Bobby Darin song is brilliant because it says, this is who this guy is. Even though we're experiencing this heist, it's really the story of Oz and why he is able to survive.
Whoa, hey! You gotta adapt. You gotta respond to the environment, the situation. You gotta pick on your...
So, in this moment right here, Victor was supposed to get some diamonds into Vitti's car, but he fails, so he puts him in a grave and threatens this poor kid. Man, I don't know if Vic's gonna make it this whole series.
This is our show. This is the type of stuff we're gonna do. Can be extremely violent. We can also have a wink and a nod. Oz is charming and he's also despicable. It's all sort of in service of Oz as a character and creating that sort of blanket tone for the show.
Okay, so that was a shorter breakdown, and I'm just gonna go through some of the plot points and tell my ideas. That I like watching those insides of things. So the first thing that happens is the visit to Maroni, and Oz setting up that FEMA drop that they showed, which is going to be taken by Maroni's crew. Meanwhile, Carmen's brother Luca arrives to take the head of the family. Frances is revealed to be so Oz's mother, Frances, is confirmed she has dementia, and so Oz goes over there. She has been going out into the neighborhood, so he's paying a neighbor to take care of her, but eventually I'm sure that's going to have to be dealt with. This is where the show is starting to get interested. I gotta be honest with you, I have no clue who's going to live and die in this, but right now Oz's mother has dementia, and I think that this is going to come back in some kind of a way. I don't know if she's going to get taken out because she doesn't know where she is, or if she's just going to die of natural causes. But I don't foresee a lot of people in the show living towards the end. Like the way they're setting things up, especially in this episode, they're really starting to dive into some different things that may affected the outcome of some of these characters. And leave in the comments below if you've seen The Penguin, where you think the characters are going to go, what your predictions are as the show goes on, who's going to live, who's going to die. Because I like doing this stuff, and I like shows I can talk about throughout the weeks as they premiere. So Frances is suffering from dementia, and it's getting worse. Oz is able to snap her out of it by playing a song that they listen to. And it's a good scene. It humanizes Oz and kind of shows he has a deep love for his mom. And he's supposed to go to the funeral of Sophia's brother. Speaking of Sophia, we get some more insights, and you find out she is suffering from PTSD from Alberto's death. So she starts having visions of her time in Arkham, and then she goes into this room and she sees her brother who's dead talking to her. He puts his hand on the glass. He has one finger. Really fucked up scene. And we see Theo Rossi in it, and he is doing some kind of therapy with red lights. They haven't explained what it is. I'm guessing it's some kind of method to snap her out of it. And we start to see Sophia becoming even more unhinged and getting more frustrated with them not seeming to wanting to pursue the person who killed Alberto. She is convinced that there is a mole in the family from Maroni. And that's what the episode is focusing on. So, after Alberto's funeral, she bribes a cop to find out and investigate the heist. Meanwhile, as we saw, Oz pulls off this heist. It doesn't go according to plan. He himself has to kill his own crew to make it look like everybody's dead, and he barely escaped. He saved Sophia's right-hand bodyguard. Important for later. So after the heist goes terribly fucking wrong and not according to Oz's plan, they go back to the mansion, and people are trying to figure it out. Sophia, being the vicious and cunning person that she is, figures out that there is obviously somebody who knows their routes, which Oz is saying. And so during the funeral, she pays a cop from the GCPD to find out who was involved in the heist and if they picked up any of Maroni's men. So when they get back to the house for the wake thing or whatever, the detective kidnapped the right-hand man of the Maronis named Irvid, who is a henchman. So Maroni's wife, Nadina, assigns Oz to retrieve him from the Falcones before he could talk. And they're about to kill him right there. I showed the scene. They're about to fucking stab him. And Oz had a blackmail file that we saw in the beginning where he has a file on everybody in the family. And he gave the file over to the Maronis as a way to show that he's gathering intel for them and to keep himself alive. So they say to him, if you don't get our man back, he's going to talk, and then you're fucking dead. And they can care less, because either way, they win in the situation. So Oz has to go to the funeral. So Oz has a plan. He's going to find out where this guy is being held. And then he's going to have Victor plant diamonds into VD's car and then make it look like VD stole the diamonds and was using them to pay off the Maronis and that he was feeding them intel. However, everything doesn't go according to plan as always. In the middle of planting the diamonds, Victor is caught, I believe, by the valet, and he is forced to drop the diamonds and flee, or he's going to be murdered. This puts Oz in a pretty bad spot because Oz had already told the guy to tell them that John Vitti is the rat. So he gets a call from Victor saying he couldn't plant the diamonds. He had to escape. Oz has to think on his feet. Oz goes and fucking stabs this guy in the most vicious scene I've seen. He basically guts the guy. And he's kind of stuck in this situation, trying to flee the house. The Falcones figure out, after seeing the guy dead, that somebody in the house killed him. So they lock down the house, and Oz is stuck in the house trying to figure out what his next move is. He's got the pocket knife that he used to just murder this guy. And through a clever maneuver, he takes the knife and he puts it up into his coat, into like his sleeve. Then he gets into a fight with John Vitti. Now, the way the scene plays out, there's 2 or 3 people standing next to him. And they cut the scene in such a way where it's implied he plants the knife on John Vitti. But big reveal, they start searching everybody for this pocket knife. And the person who has the knife does not wind up being Vitti. He puts it in Sophia's bodyguard, Castile, who he saved during the heist. And now people have speculated, why didn't he just plant the blade in John Vitti, because he was trying to frame him the whole time. But this is actually brilliant, because I don't think people saw what Oz was doing. Oz, through this whole episode, is trying to get Sophia to believe him. So by isolating her, I think the play was he pivoted to getting rid of the people closest to her, and the closest person she had was the bodyguard, the one person who followed her that she trusted. And by taking him out, he has now effectively isolated her because she trusts nobody in the family. And there's a really great scene I wanted to talk about in this. There's a scene where she's at the party and everybody's giving their condolences and she's looking at people's faces. They're giving her weird fucking looks. Basically whispers like they're talking about her. Granted, she's nuts, so you can't tell who's talking about her or if it's in her head. And she's walking through and she sees this person she hasn't seen for a long time, her cousin or something like that. And they start talking about Italy. And she's like, why don't you come with me and take a trip? We'll all go to Italy. We could be like we used to and pick up the Italian boys, whatever. And she's taken aback because this is the first person to show her kindness since she's gotten back. And it looks like, you know, maybe a little kind, touching moment. And then the cousin's daughter comes. And she sees this little girl and she goes, like, bends down and she's like, hey there, how are you doing? And her cousin pulls the daughter back. And then she kind of starts to figure it out because this invitation came out of nowhere. And so it cuts to the next scene. And the person who's in charge now, Luca, I'm gathering her uncle or something who's taken over the family, mentions she should go to Italy on vacation. She should leave Gotham and get out of here, and they're trying to make it sound altruistic. But actually, they're trying to fucking get rid of her. They see her as a wild card. They don't want her in Gotham. And this is kind of where the points start to turn. Now, we cut back to Oz's plan with planting the knife in her bodyguard. She looks at the guy, and this is the most intense scene because the bodyguard's sitting there, and he's like, I swear to God, I didn't do it. I've been fucking loyal to this family, blah, blah, blah. And she just looks at him with these, like, insane eyes. And she's like, give me your gun. And he's like, I'd never betray you, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, give me your fucking gun. And her uncle pulls out a gun and shoots the bodyguard in the head. So she goes into the study to talk to the uncle. She's fucking pissed. And she's like, that was my kill. That was for me. I wanted justice for my brother. And he's like, you're done. That's it. This bullshit's over. He goes, he's dead. He goes, well, and then he brings up the conversation about going to Italy. And at that moment, you see the shift in her eyes where she's like, yep, I'll do what you say. So, she is super pissed off about that. And we cut to Oz, who has to now bury these bodies. And Oz digs a grave, and he makes Victor lie in the grave with Everett and Castile. And he tells him, he's like, you got to think quicker. He's like, you could have got me fucking killed. He's like, we are playing a dangerous game. And if you're not on your A game, either me or you or both of us are going to end up dead. So I'm taking this like this is his final warning. He fucks up again and Oz is going to kill him. But it's a very chilling scene. And then he kind of softens up and he tells him, like, you got to be smarter. You got to think quick. And really, that goes back to the point of the episode where you see Oz pivoting, even though all of his plans are going to shit as the episode goes on. He's able to switch on a dime and blame this one and kind of maneuver his way very narrowly out of it. And so, things with him and Victor are all right. They wind up making up. And then towards the end, he meets up with Sophia. And they have a great conversation. We see the graves or the headstones. They're in like a fancy mausoleum. You see the headstones where all of the Falcones who have died are buried. So you got Carmine, you got Alberto, and there's a blank one, which is kind of ominous, and I'd say a little bit on the nose. I feel like they're kind of foreshadowing there, but I assume the blank casket is supposed to be Sophia's when she passes away, because as you guys know, when they buy these mausoleums or whatever, they're family plots. So most of her family is buried, and she's sitting there, and Oz comes in and they start talking, and she's like, I'm tired of these fucking old men telling me what to do. She is, you know what? I'm going to take everything of theirs and I'm going to run this city. And she looks at Oz and she's like, are you in? And Oz tells her a story, like in the middle at the funeral, about his mother. And he talks about his brother's dying and how his mother wouldn't get up for days. And they went to this jazz club and they started dancing. It was the first time he ever heard jazz. And it was one of his fondest memories. And he asks her if she likes to dance. So at the end of the episode, when she asks Oz, is he in? He looks at her and he says, let's dance. So pretty much setting up that him and Sophia are now aligned and they plan on systematically destroying the Falcones from the inside out. Now, the thing is, I don't know if he's going to let her in on all of the moves he's been making, or what exactly or how exactly he's going to maneuver with her without also kind of alluding to the fact that he murdered her brother. So it's a very dangerous game. There's also another conversation I want to talk about, and I know I'm kind of jumping around in the episode just to kind of highlight things I like. There's a great conversation. So Oz's love interest, I want to say she's a call girl or something. She was in the first episode, but we get to learn a little bit more about her. And apparently she runs these call girls in Gotham. It's implied her and Oz have maybe more than a business relationship. It's hinted to they might have grown up in the same place. They kind of came up together, and there might even be a little bit of a love thing going on. I'm not really sure. I'm sure throughout the next episodes they'll kind of elaborate on it. But she talks about that she figured out he killed Carmine and used her as an ally. And she says to him he's playing a very dangerous game. And he tells her she has nothing to worry about. He's going to rebuild his club and he's going to make sure she's taken care of and stuff like that. But she says, I'm worried about you. And, she goes, he goes, he's going to take out John Beatty. And she goes, he's untouchable. So Oz says, nobody's untouchable. And she looks at him and goes, that means you're not untouchable either. And it's just the dialogue in this show is so fucking good. Like, the back and forth between characters and the way they kind of ramp things up. And the thing I like about this show that does really well is um you get a lot about the characters, you get a lot about the situations going on without them doing something obvious and stupid. And comparing this to Agatha episode 3, which really annoyed me, and I'll have a review up for that. And I hate to make the comparison because they're two different companies, two different shows, but they have the same theme. You have two shows that focus on a villain that try to get you on board with the villain. But the big difference between this show and Agatha all along is that Agatha is just fucking unlikable. And despite them trying to plant seeds of her being like maybe not as bad as, Receiver, they do a terrible job. Where this show never lets you forget that the Penguin is a fucking horrible individual. He is a murdering, backstabbing piece of shit. He would sell out, I'm pretty sure, everyone but his mother. And I'm not even 100% on that if it really came down to it. He's a guy who will throw a fucking little kid in front of him. I mean, in the first episode, the kid who robbed his car, he literally watched him get shot. The kid was like 15, 16 years old, or 16 or 17, somewhere in there. So he let basically a teenager get shot for his lie. So he's not a good person. And he is very vicious. But I think the thing that this show does very well that Agatha is not doing for me is that there are moments in the show where you might not be on Oz's side with what he's doing, but you understand his motives and you understand his reasonings for doing the things that he does. Even when he fucks someone over in the moment as you're watching the show, you're kind of on his side, like, yeah, fuck that guy. Because he's in a world where everybody in this world are scumbags. So really, when someone dies, they kind of had it coming. I'm waiting for in this show where we start to kind of see the innocent people who have nothing to do with this shit getting caught in the crossfire. And if this war breaks out, there are going to be a lot of innocent people who die. And I think that's where we're kind of shifting. This feels to me like Walter White from Breaking Bad, only sped up because they had like, what, 6 seasons to do the greatest show on television, Breaking Bad? 5. And you saw the slow decline of Walter White. This is kind of a sped up version of that. Like Oz was already a scumbag, as where Walter White was not. But it's very much like that for me because we haven't seen him go full evil. He still kind of got a line he hasn't crossed yet, but he's getting there. In this episode, he killed his own people to save his ass. And the guy he was supposed to rescue, he killed and threw under the bus to save his own ass. So I think as we go through this show, we're going to start to see him go further and further and go past that line more and more. And I don't know when, because like I said, I haven't seen this whole season, but I have a feeling there's going to be a point. Either I'm like, my prediction is I think he's going to wind up killing Vic, or Vic's going to have to do something and go against him. I don't know. I'm kind of leaning towards that direction. And I think when he does something truly heinous to a character we like, that's going to be the moment he goes over the edge and goes full Penguin. But right now, he's kind of teetering that line between, like, yeah, you're doing bad shit, but I still understand your motives and why you're doing the things that you're doing. But I'm waiting for that moment where he just becomes irredeemable. But this was a great episode. It was really well paced. The dialogue was great. The great thing I like about this show, too, is that they don't fuck around and waste time. They get right into it. Like, I think there's only a couple of scenes where they're talking about something and then it goes into the heist. And then after that, it's kind of they talk at the funeral and then they go into the scene where he fucking guts the dude in the basement. And then that intense scene of them trying to figure out who the mole is and shooting the guy. And then we're at the ending. So the show is very well paced. Not a lot of slow moments. Uh, very edge of your seat. And even in the slower moments, every conversation is so intense. It's just like you're waiting for somebody to kill somebody else, or you're waiting for someone to call somebody out on their bullshit. The actress Christina Milioti, she continues to be one of the highlights. Her and Colin Farrell are so fucking strong in this show. Their chemistry is so good. Her acting in this episode is fucking ridiculously good. The way she expresses all of this pain, she does a lot of acting with her facial expressions. And the way she switches from being utterly crushed to looking like she's going to murder someone to becoming calm and composed. This actress is so underrated. Uh, when I saw her on How I Met Your Mother, I never thought she had the range that she has, but oh my God, she should be working in more projects. She is perfect for this role. Another standout for me is Sharonan, whatever fuck her last name is, who plays the wife of Sal, Nadia Maroney. She's a standout. It's crazy. A lot of strong female characters in this show, and I hear this bullshit of like, oh, guys don't like powerful women and stuff like that. It's like, no, people don't like shitty written characters. This is how you write strong, powerful, independent women. There's two probably my favorite characters in this show are both women besides Penguin, and then you have Victor, who's really good too. There's not a bad lead in this show, to be quite honest. The only weak people I'd say are the secondary characters. Luca, who just came in, um, Johnny, the guy who plays Johnny Beatty, is all right. The secondary characters are just kind of background noise, but the main leads of this show are so fucking good. They are so intense. The conversations are so nail biting. You don't know who knows what or who's playing who or what angle people are playing. And I think the strength of the show is not even the violence, but the moment to moment talks that these characters have, where you're waiting for somebody to snap or somebody to call this person out on bullshit. And when an argument happens, it feels like violence could explode at any time. And I think that's what makes this show not only interesting for me, but for people who are watching it. So that's really all I got for me. Not every episode could be an hour long breakdown. This one was pretty to the point. I touched the highlights of the show that I wanted to kind of touch on. So this is my question. We're going to do some predictions here. In the comments below, let me know. Who do you think's going to make it to the end of the series? Who do you think's going to die? Um, what are your predictions for the upcoming episodes? Now that Sophia and Oz are aligned, do you think there's going to be a bunch of bodies dropping? Or what do you think next week episode is going to be like? And also, let me know, who do you think is going to die? If you want to list the orders in the comments below, let me know what characters you think aren't going to make it to the end of the show and who you think is going to die. Obviously, it's already been said Penguin's going to be in Batman 2, so I highly doubt they're going to kill him off in the show. Obviously, it's called The Penguin. But do you think Sophia is going to be murdered? Do you think Victor is going to be murdered? Sal, do you think they'll make it to the next movie? I honestly gotta be honest with you guys. I have no fucking idea who's gonna make it in this show. I want to say probably his mother's gonna die, and I really don't want Vic to die, but I don't think that kid's gonna make it, man. He ain't built for the he ain't built for the fucking stress. Um, I don't think he's gonna make it. I definitely don't think Sophia is gonna make it. Just because she's fucking nuts and she's going to do something, I feel like, that's going to get in his way, or it's going to come out that he murdered her brother and she's going to try to set him up. I think, just my prediction, I think at the end it's going to come down to her and Penguin, and I don't think she's gonna make it, which fucking sucks because I like all of these characters, and with the way the show is designed, I think a lot of the deaths and stuff are gonna come out of nowhere, and it's gonna be some heartbreaking shit. The next episode, episode 3, which premieres this Sunday, is called Bliss. Episode 4 is called Santa Ana. 5 is Homecoming. 6 is the Gold Summit. 7 is Top Hat, and episode 8 is Great or Little Thing. So the next episode will be premiering October 6th, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing that episode. Also, too, the premiere episode was directed by Lauren LeFranc, who's done a fucking an excellent job, and the last episode is also directed by her. So I'm super excited. I think she very much understands these characters, and I can't wait for the weeks leading up to this show. This is one of the shows I actually look forward to watching every Sunday. And I will have a review up for Agatha All Along episode 3. But for right now, this is my like top tier program. I can't wait for the next episode. And I'll be back here to do a breakdown inside of the episode. And I will also give my own thoughts and opinions. But this is a strong, solid episode. I give it a 10 out of 10. Hopefully, it continues on this path. It's crazy. The second episode was better than the first one, honestly. And if you're not watching it, go check out Penguin. It's on Max. You can also see it in Amazon if you have a Max subscription. But it's probably one of the best shows of this year so far. So thank you, everybody, for watching. In the comments below, let me know who you think is going to make it to the end of the season and who you think is going to die at the end of the season. And what are your thoughts of the first 2 episodes so far? Today, I am going to be doing Agatha All Along episode 3. Yeah, episode 3. And I'll be posting that soon. And then tomorrow, I will be doing a watch along for The Joker in preparation to see The Joker 2 with the lovely bitchy unicorn, which happens to fall on our 5-year anniversary. So 5 years, if you guys don't know, it's been 5 years since The Joker 2 has come out, and me and my lovely lady's anniversary falls on the original release date of The Joker. So our 5-year anniversary, we're going to see The Joker 2, and it's also 5 years since the movie has come out. I don't know what that means, but there's some kind of symmetry there. So I will have a full breakdown of The Joker 2, which I'll probably put out Thursday or Friday. It depends on how late I get back from the movie, but I might shoot a short going to see The Joker, and then I'll shoot a short my thoughts of it, and then do a full breakdown of the movie here on the channel. I am not going to lie, this is one of my most anticipated films. Now, I might be slightly biased because me and my lady's anniversary falls on this movie, but I'm really hoping it's good. So I'll bring you guys a full in-depth spoiler breakdown. I'll do a non-spoiler, but I'm also going to do a spoiler breakdown as well, and let you know what we thought of the movie. And I'm really looking forward to that. And I will be doing a non-spoiler review of Terrifier 3, which I'll probably release either today or tomorrow. Yeah, so anyways, thank you everybody for watching. Hit that like, share, subscribe, all the YouTube things, and yeah, let me know. What did you think of this episode? Who do you think's gonna live? Who do you think's gonna die? And are you having fun with the brand new show, The Penguin? Thank you, everybody, for watching. And as always, remember, there is only one rule here in the Phantom Zone. Kneel before General Zod.